Here, yes.
Present.
Great. John Tague here in person. Good to see you, John, in person.
Thank you, madam.
Stephanie, are you still on?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Okay, and Ally, are you still on?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, and Michelle. Okay. So with that, I'll look for approval of the minutes. First of the January 27th annual meeting and of the January 27th regular meeting. May I have a motion for approval of those minutes? Is
Motion to approve.
there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries and those minutes are approved. And now a report from our chief executive, Catherine Kell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everyone online and here in the room today. May I please have a moment of silence for the following former employees and one active employee who passed away in December and January. Operators Charles Watt, Louis St. Clair, James Thorhauer, William Dugan, David Hunt, and John Weber. Off-board fare collector Anita Alfera. Seat and sign repairman Edward Sowell. Automotive mechanic Wendell Poindexter. Traffic surveyor Andrew Munster. Service person Richard Pokrant. Route foreman Raymond Campbell. And stockman James Perlinger. Thank you. Well, this is my favorite meeting of the year, not just because it's really full. Welcome, everybody. Today we are doing our All-Star Awards. There's a lot that goes on with transit and transportation. And the most important thing here clearly are not our buses and our trains and our inclines and everything. It's the people we employ and the people we serve. We are absolutely privileged to have such an outstanding group of folks who give us part of their day every day, sometimes for a year, sometimes for 30 years, and truly do the magical things that make this place happen. And we try to recognize our contributions. Today, we are honoring 17 individuals with our All-Star Awards. These are the folks whose applications have come in, but I guarantee since we called for applications, we've had more All-Stars happening. And there's folks out there doing amazing work every day that we just don't end up hearing about. We're talking about deeds that require employees to go out of their way and take action when not everybody would. It's not just that folks, if they have the agency money, that's the thing. They've saved lives. And today you're going to get to meet some lifesavers and folks who've made really amazing changes for us. Some folks have taken some great steps to improve service for riders. Some have taken them to approach how we do stuff differently, but everyone together here is an all-star. For 2022, our All-Star Committee received dozens of nominations, and the 17 who ultimately win are the next meet the prestigious criteria to be our next All-Stars. So come on up, get your award, and then we'll take pictures afterward, correct? Are we taking pictures during? I think during, because then you don't have to make another step, and some folks might be nervous. So I'm going to start off with Eric, our first person, and Dave, would you come up too? The first employee I want to talk about is based out of South Hills Junction. These are not the folks that our board sees very often or that our passengers do too. Eric Alexandrov was at one of our substations when his coworker was bit or stung by some type of insect. Now, Dave Hedges and I were just discussing, he's been bit, he's been stung, he has been in the outdoors, but he has never gone into anaphylactic shock. And how would you know that was what was going on, right? So Eric told Dave to sit down. Just take a minute. But a few minutes later, you realize this was not like a regular sting. But Eric did not panic. He took action. He took his coworker to a local hospital where they determined he was having an anaphylactic reaction. And you want to be freaked out, talk to Dave about all the stuff that happened at the hospital. Thanks to Eric's quick response, the doctors could stabilize Dave. The same doctors commended Eric for handling the situation, and he probably saved a life. And you didn't think that was going to happen when you were working with this guy, did you? So Eric, we are honored to present you with the 2022 All-Star Award. I'm going to come shake your hand, and I would like you. Thank you. All right, our next All-Star awardee is from the West Mifflin Garage. This is operator Barry Carter. So last summer, Operator Carter, wherever Operator Carter is, come on up. Witnessed a woman running away from a man who was trying to throw a brick at her head. Now, we often say in transit, you won't believe the stuff that you see, but what you will hear today, you will not believe. So Operator Carter sees a woman running away, this guy's trying to throw a brick at her head. And the operator, Barry, stopped to let the woman on his bus. And it's a good thing he did, because he shut the doors and the man ran up and broke the door to try to get on the vehicle to get after her. So on behalf of women everywhere, thank you so much for doing that, not just as someone at PRT. That is insane. Barry immediately called the police, who arrested the man. So you saved a life too. Our next operator's all-star comes from our Ross garage. It's Operator Brian Deerkoch. Brian is not able to be with us today, so his award will be received by James McNeil from Ross. Operator Brian Deerkoch picked up two kids, about 8 or 9 years old, during his Route 1 Freeport trip. The kids seemed exhausted and confused. They didn't know where they were going. They couldn't really clearly communicate where they were trying to go. So what did Brian do? He didn't just pop them on the bus and drop them off. Brian helped them. He radioed in for assistance and let us know that he had some kids who seemed lost and they needed some support. Port Authority police met the bus in Fox Chapel, and the officers identified the kids who had been missing overnight. I know, right? Can everyone in here just freak out about that a little bit? So these babies were missing overnight, and Brian got them squared away. Brian's attention to his riders, along with the care and compassion he showed, because a lot of kids won't talk to strangers, averted a potential tragedy. And for that, we present Brian with the award. Brian's probably out working, just kidding, but he can't be with us today. But everybody, I'd like to give him a round. Okay, next up for the All-Stars, Alan Loskotch. I probably said your name wrong. Did I say your name? Oh, thank goodness. All right, I take that back. So here's the situation. It's Christmas Day, if I recall correctly, Alan, right? It's Christmas Day? Yes. All right, Christmas Day, Alan's at work. While a lot of us are at home or somewhere else eating whatever, arguing with our family members, Alan is working. A man overdoses on the street and stops breathing. His young daughter is with him, and she flags down a bus for help. So think about all this going on there. The incident isn't at a bus stop, but Alan is not going to let that stop him. Alan stops the bus, secures the vehicle, and comes over to give this man, not at a bus stop, on Christmas with his daughter, CPR until the paramedics can arrive. This is not an exaggeration, y'all. Alan saved this man's life. Alan saved the life. And when we ask him about it, he says he just couldn't go without helping. Alan got back on the bus and finished his shift after he saved a life. I just want to put that out there. So not just heroism, but an amazing focus on taking care of other people. And I think you probably get a bunch of this from your Air Force training, right? Army, well, that's better. So sorry, Air Force people. Hey, Chuck Reeves, come on. You jump out of the vehicle to give CPR, we'll talk. But thank you for your service there. Thank you for bringing that training to us. We already have the nomination in, and I also, David Huffaker, the guy has a logistics background. I know we're looking for schedule makers. Bring it up there. Yeah. Our next All-Star Award recipient is Colton Nist. Colton, are you here? Come on up, Colton. Colton, you haven't been with us very long, have you? June. So we don't get an award every year. Just want you to know. You might though. He's already made a huge impact at our main shop in Manchester. Even more impressive, more life-saving going on. I feel like I'm totally underachieving in my daily work. Thank you so much. A few months ago, an employee collapsed in the hallway. Colton performed a patient assessment and determined the employee was semi-conscious. He kept his cool, and he did that thing that we often forget when crisis is happening. He delegated. someone to go call 911, someone to get the defibrillator. The defibrillator wasn't needed, but Colton was. His quick reaction helped get the coworker into medical attention, get the paramedics in while they could make sure everything was taken care of. For your compassion and your ability to stay calm in a crisis, Colton, thank you so much. You're an all-star. So. Our next all-star operator is Operator Timothy Robinson, also from West Mifflin. Timothy was driving the 83 Bedford Hill and stopped at a bus stop on 5th Avenue. He opened the doors to let passengers get off the bus. An illegally parked car started to back up just as a woman was exiting. Timothy was paying attention. He took quick and decisive action. He closed the rear doors and yelled at the woman to stop, kept her from getting off the vehicle and blindsided by someone who was not paying attention in his car. You see the theme of people saving lives? Yes, absolutely. So Timothy, thank you for everything you've done. Jared Schwartz. Jared. We go way back, don't we, Jared? To watching my child have a meltdown at hockey. Or attempting hockey, I should say. Jared is our next All-Star Award, Jared Schwartz. Jared works here at the Heinz 57 Center in the Accounts Payable Department. Wow, they process 26,000 invoices a year, and yet you're still cheerful. This is so, whoa. This summer, when we were short-staffed, Jared worked overtime to make sure our vendors were getting paid. Vendors don't care if we're short-staffed, 30 days net, right? He also foiled multiple fraud attempts by hackers and scammers who were trying to gain access to our vendors' banking information. He followed PRT fraud detection and prevention procedures and prevented payments from being diverted to fraudulent bank accounts. So not just he's saving money, he's protecting our vendors so they want to come back and do good business with us again. And you didn't have to do that. So I'm so happy that you did. And for that, you are an all-star. Thank you. Our next All-Star Operator or All-Star Award goes to Operator Patrick Slade, also from Mifflin. What's going on with Mifflin? There's a lot going on at Mifflin. Another shining example of how people act when confronted with a potentially stressful situation. I meant it when I said you don't know what you're going to see when you come to transit. Okay? Sound right, Patrick?
Right.
So Patrick pulls up to a stop when a man gets on the bus, and he doesn't ask where he's going, but he offers to sell Patrick a gun. First time I've heard that one. He even shows it to him to make sure that you know it's legit, I suppose. Just because Patrick doesn't want a gun doesn't mean that man doesn't have places to be. So when Patrick sees a man try to get onto another bus, he radios the other operator, lets him know about this, entrepreneurial exercise, and tells him not to let the gentleman on the bus. Also called the police and provided a description of the salesman. When police arrive, they're able to apprehend the salesman. It was a stolen gun. Thanks to Patrick's quick thinking and calmness, and I would have lost my mind situation, an illegal gun was removed from the streets and the community is safer. And I bet you didn't even break a sweat, did you?
No.
He's like, no. It's not the craziest thing he's seen. So we're just going to move on as a group. Okay. Oh, this is a cute one. Operator Clayton Smith. Where's Dr. Doolittle? I'm so sorry. So another thing you don't always see. Something didn't seem quite right to Clayton on a very cold November day at Swissvale Station. There was a box left in an unusual place. It was outside. Someone was going to run it over. I would say that it could have been a bomb, but it wasn't. It was 5 kittens. Everybody, oh. Unless you're a dog person, in which case pretend it's puppies. They were 5 kitty cats. Clayton, you brought the box on his bus and placed it next to the heater to keep the kittens warm until he waited for the police to arrive. And the kittens went to animal control so they could receive care. One of the kittens did not go far. Deputy Chief Hudzinski adopted the kitten already named Sinkhole. Did you do that, Clayton? Did you name the kitten Sinkhole? Thank goodness. I think we might be tired of sinkholes. Thank you for paying attention and not just leaving them there, even if you might be a dog person. So thank you so much. Really, sinkhole, Deputy Chief? Our next All-Star Award recipient wasn't even on the clock when he got a standing ovation from a bus full of riders. So I want you to think about that. A house fire in Duquesne prevented a bus from taking its regular route. The bus had nowhere to go, and everyone on board was facing a significant delay, and they were getting grumpy, I'm sure. They were lucky that route foreman Montel Staples, Mr. Staples, come on up, was attending a community event nearby. Not just that he was at the community event, but he was familiar with the neighborhood. So Montel climbed aboard the bus and got the bus through the blockage. Even though you were off the clock. Yes. Thank you. He rode with the operator through the temporary detour, left the bus only once the operator was good on his own, and then walked back in 90-degree heat to get to his event. Having lived in Florida, that is no small feat. Thank you so much for doing what you did, and we are proud to present Montel with the All-Star Award. Yeah, you should be in the center. Hear that. Thank you. Our next recipient may have helped saving someone's life, and he wasn't even helping a person on the bus. Operator Patrick Alm. Patrick, come on up. Another Mifflin. Are you another Mifflin? My goodness. What? Stop it. So Mifflin seems very exciting, and I don't know how I feel about that. There's a lot going on out there, folks. Operator Patrick Alm witnessed a car and a bicyclist collide on East Carson Road. And so, you know, the bicyclist always loses on that. Patrick secured the bus and approached the bicyclist on the road. With the help of a nurse, he rolled the motionless bicyclist over and administered CPR. I know, right? Medics arrived a short time later and transported the bicyclist to a local hospital. Patrick demonstrated clear thinking and an excellent composure. He used his training to help a community member in need and no doubt saved a life. And for that, we are honored to present you the All-Star. And last but not least, I feel like we spend so much time together. Our Port Authority police who were at Fern Hollow. I know Lieutenant Rob DePippa is sick today. He would not miss a chance to come and make faces for the camera, so he must be really sick, right? So I think the Deputy Chief is here for DePippa. We also have Lieutenant Sean Morrow and Officers Tristan Collins, David Harris, Nick Massey, and David Walters. And come on up, everybody, while I'm talking about this. So we've talked with our officers before, but a good deed and excellent focus on our community are always worth talking about again. When the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed, our team was out there first. Our police were out there first. Our dispatchers and police were handling this first. Our folks were out there. They don't know what's going on. A bridge has fallen 100 feet. There's a bus on the bridge. And then I believe the pickup truck was the parents of somebody over at East Liberty too. There was a lot of transit going on. And a severed gas main that was so loud it sounded like a jet engine. And yet our folks went down to go to help to give assistance and make sure everyone was safe. 6 members of our police department courageously, I think insanely climbed down the hill, but we're going to go with courageously, went down into the scene of the crash and the collision to help our driver, Daryl, and 2 passengers out of the bus, even though there was a gas leak, didn't know what was safe or not. They didn't stop treatment for, I'm going to lecture you like all your wives and mothers, okay? They didn't stop treatment for gas exposure until everything was safe. And thank God that you guys are safe too, but they kept going back down there when it was dangerous for themselves, and not before rushing to help with every aspect of emergency response. So when we talk about heroism and compassion and dedication to the community, our police force is living this every single day. You put your lives out there on the line, and we appreciate you. I know it's a small token, but thank you for everything that you do. And Rob missed a chance to mug for the cameras. So we're going to go through so not Rob, but Sean, Tristan, Dave, Nick, and other Dave Walters. Thank you so much. It's picture time. We scooched in off the list. Getting cozy. And we are not done. Just last week, our acting director of capital programs, Denise Ott, Denise, I know you don't want to talk about this, but here you are, came to the aid of a high school student on the light rail system. And I want to point this out. All stars are once a year. The application process is at the fall. Our folks are doing great work every single day and taking care of other folks every day. So last week, Denise was on the train coming into work. A man with an extensive criminal background and history of mental health issues was harassing a teenage girl. Police were called, arrived on the scene, and removed the man from the LRV. They asked the teen to step off so she could provide a statement. When the victim stepped off the LRV, so did Denise. So Denise sees a teenage girl who is not in her best mindset, is overwhelmed, and needs some support. And Denise doesn't think, and she goes off and she does that. A lot of folks would have turned their face the other way, but not Denise. She'd been harassed, she wasn't comfortable, and Denise went into like decent mensch person overdrive and sat with the teen, made sure she was comfortable, offered to be there as an adult for a teenager, and made sure the girl could get to where she wanted to go and she didn't have to go by herself. In fact, she was on the train and our chief of all cool stuff, Jeffrey Devlin, got on and was going to talk to Denise, but he thought she was talking to a lifelong friend, somebody that she knew that well. So not just good rapport, but the girl didn't feel singled out because Denise was with her and not all the eyes were on, and Denise made it okay. So the kind of stuff that folks do every day, not just because we're moms, Denise, but because we're decent people. So I don't want to embarrass you, but I just want to note that we have so many amazing, awesome people here.
It is stand up so we can see who Denise is.
She's in the back, Denise. I mean, you can come up if you want, or we can do this next year when we get you a big fancy trophy. I mean, yes. She's sitting down. So when I say, whether it's an interview or here talking, when I say that I have the pleasure and the privilege of working with what I think is the best team in transit, I have moved around. I have a good perspective. I wouldn't trade the people we work with for anything. Even on the days that people are shouting to me in Yinzer and I don't understand, and I'm sure I deserve it on those days. It's a fantastic place to be, and it is a fantastic group of people to work with, and it is just my joy. So unless there's any questions, Mr. Chair.
No, presumptively, I'm going to say on behalf of the board, I mean, we're in awe of all you've done, and I really appreciate that kind of service. And I realize that this agenda is wrong, because to follow that act, to do the mundane business that we're going to do now, it's probably been better to do that and then hear from everybody. But this is fantastic. But thank you, and thanks for sharing that with us, and we congratulate you all. Okay. Now on to the mundane business, and we'll start off with a report from our Oversight Committee from Michelle Zmanek, our chair. Michelle?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. The Performance Oversight Committee met last week, and I have 5 resolutions for your consideration. The committee first reviewed 6 procurement items and determined the bids to be in accordance with PRT's procurement policies and procedures. The price is fair and reasonable, the bidders to be responsible, and the bids responsive. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends the awards of bids listed in the resolution for the total amount of $2,018,182.76. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
The second resolution is to authorize PRT to approve and ratify the terms of a collective bargaining agreement with Port Authority Transit Police Association covering transit police officers. The current agreement expires on July 31st, 2023. The PRT staff and police association representatives have been engaged in good faith bargaining and in an effort to reach a new agreement. It was noted at the meeting that the police association has voted to accept the terms and conditions of the amended agreement. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends the board approve and ratify the agreement between PRT and the Police Association covering the terms and conditions of employment for the officers for the period August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024, as set forth on the summary attached in the resolution as Exhibit A. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
The next resolution is to authorize PRT to enter into a cooperation agreement with the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority for the Mellon Terrace Bus Layover Project. PRT operates bus service on a portion of Mellon Terrace, a public street in the city of Pittsburgh's Highland Park neighborhood. PWSA is in the process of finalizing plans to perform construction work along Mellon Terrace. Currently, there is sufficient space along Mellon Terrace for buses to lay over without disrupting the flow of vehicular traffic. PRT therefore desires to construct a bus layover space and perform related roadway improvement work along Mellon Terrace. In order to reduce the overall cost and duplication of tasks and to maximize coordination and minimize the potential for conflicts or delays, PRT and PWSA have agreed that PWSA's contractors will also perform the construction on PRT's layover project, for which PRT will reimburse PWSA. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends authorizing PRT to enter into the cooperation agreement with PWSA for this project. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Anyone?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Next at the meeting, Chief Safety Officer Bert Jennings updated the committee on the amended Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. It was explained at the meeting that since PRT is a recipient of federal and state funding, we are required to comply with all applicable federal and state laws, regulations, and rules. On June 26, 2020, the board authorized PRT to adopt and implement its first Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan to replace its previous System Safety Program Plan. Pursuant to FTA regulations, PRT must review its PTASP on an annual basis to determine if further changes and/or updates need to be made. Should there be any necessary changes or updates, approval is required by PRT's board along with PennDOT's Rail Transit Review Program. PennDOT's Rail Transit Review Program has preliminarily approved the plan. Due to the large amount of material included in the plan, it has been posted on PRT's website, and a number of copies are available today at the sign-in table. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends approving and implementing the 2022 Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. My fellow members, I respectfully request that the board approve this resolution.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? The motion carries.
In January 2019, PRT entered into agreements with Greenlee Partners LLC and Buchanan Ingersoll and Rooney PC to provide governmental relations and legislative consulting services. The agreements were for an initial term of 3 years and a total not to exceed amount of $888,000 to be allocated by PRT among the two firms on an as-needed basis. Agreements also contain 2 option years to be exercised by PRT in its sole discretion. In November 2021, the board authorized PRT to exercise the first option year to extend agreements through March 31st, 2023, and increase the total not to exceed amount of $1,137,206. PRT determined that the services were performed by both firms have been satisfactory and in compliance with the agreement. The Performance Oversight Board recommends exercising the second option year to extend the term of agreements for an additional year through March 31st, 2024, and to increase the previously authorized amount by $292,650.50. My fellow board members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And with that, we'll move on to the report of the Planning and Stakeholder Relations Committee from our Chair John Tague.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, fellow board members and fellow stakeholders. It's a little bit strange actually being here in the room as opposed to being here virtually. So it's been over 2 years, I think, since I've been here. And I'm especially happy that we recognized our all-stars today. And as a rider of the system, I really appreciate the work, especially our drivers do. And a lot of times they're called to do things above and beyond their jobs. So I appreciate that. The first item of the meeting was Chief Development Officer David Huffaker presented a summary of the public comment period for the proposed downtown, uptown Oakland bus rapid transit service changes. The public comment period began on December 15th and ran through February 1st. A total of 730 comments were collected during the time, representing a diverse range of race, income, and geography. The vast majority, 95% of the comments were delivered online and about 3% delivered on voicemail, 1% delivered both to customer service and through the public hearing, which were held on January 18th. A total of more than 3,500 comments have been received since the reception of the project in 2017. Most of the comments are favorable to the proposed changes and about 1,800 comments in favor and 1,600 opposed. A large number of the negative comments were received opposing the potential change of the P3. The proposed changes include extension service downtown via the BRT corridor and stopping the route in Wilkinsburg rather than in Swissvale. These changes will not be implemented until 2025, so there is time for additional analysis and outreach. In March, the board will receive the Title VI report and recommendations for the service changes planned for 2023. Construction is expected to begin in the downtown portion of the project in spring of 2023. And the earliest these changes will begin would be in October. Construction of the uptown Oakland corridor is expected to begin in spring of 2024. And second item is the Allegheny County Transit Council met on February 22nd. Mike Setra, Chief Legal Officer, briefed the council on the collective bargaining agreement with the ATU Local 85 late last year. Darcy Cleaver, Section Manager of Travel Amenities, provided the council with an overview of PRT's park and rides. Ellie Newman, Section Manager of Service Development, presented the transit service standards updates and briefed the council on BRT service changes. Their next scheduled meeting is on March 22nd. third and final item is the Committee for Accessible Transportation. Met on February 2nd. Darcy Cleaver, Section Manager of Transit and Many, presented on the Braille sign progress and next steps. Amy Silverman, Director of Planning and Service Development, presented the transit service standard updates, the annual service report, and discussed upcoming public meetings. Philip St. Pierre, Director of Transit Scheduling, presented on the upcoming February service changes. Karen Hesh of Access provided the committee with an update on the ridership, paratransit drivers, and the same-day pilot extension. The next scheduled meeting is for May 4th. Mr. Chair, unless there are additional questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions from Mr. Pegg? Okay, with that, we'll move on to the report of the Finance Committee from its Chair, Ann O'Gore.
Fellow board members, the Finance Committee met last week and I have a resolution for your consideration. The resolution is to authorize PRT to extend and amend the agreement for fare model development and Title VI analysis services. These services include, but are not limited to, reviewing PRT's current fare structure and policy, assisting with utilizing the previously delivered fare model, analyzing alternative fare structure, providing support at internal and public meetings, and providing a Title VI fare equity analysis report. In January of 2019, PRT's board authorized an award to 49 Technologies to provide the services for a 3-year term for a not to exceed amount of $210,000. The agreement also included 2 option years to be exercised at the sole discretion of PRT. On February 25th, 2022, the board authorized PRT to exercise the first option year through February 28th, 2023, and to increase the not to exceed amount to $410,000. PRT has determined that it is in its best interest to exercise the second option, extending the term of the agreement to February 28th, 2024, with no increase in the not to exceed amount. Controller Peter Schenk emphasized in response to a board member's question that the fare model and the Title VI related analysis work was done under the original agreement and the first option year extension. Any supplemental work that PRT may require during the second option year would be done on a work order only basis, and likely be limited in nature and well within funds already authorized for this contract. Therefore, the proposed resolution to exercise the second option year for this contract would include no further increase to the previously authorized total not to exceed amount. My fellow members, I request approval of this resolution.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
The January financial results were also presented at last week's meeting. It was reported that total operating income for the month of January was over budget by $102,244 due to higher interest income and access shared revenues. For the fiscal year, total operating income is $2.5 million below budget due to lower passenger revenue and access shared ride revenue, which is partially offset by higher interest income. January operating expenses were below budget for the month by $3.3 million, primarily due to lower salary and wages, purchased services, and materials and supplies. Total expenses for the fiscal year are $30.1 million below budget, with every expense category currently below budget. Total subsidy for the month of January was $583,885 below budget due to lower state operating assistance related to the Access program. Total subsidy through January is $3.7 million below budget due to lower ARPA invoicing, which will normalize by year end if the full budget of federal subsidy is needed. Finally, it was reported that the authority ended the month of January with approximately $167.1 million in cash reserves. That concludes my report.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Ann. With that, we'll move on to the report of the Technology Committee from John Liptak, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Letwin, and thank you for having my meeting for me last week. I appreciate that. The committee met on February 16th, and I have one resolution for consideration today. The resolution will amend the software license and service agreement with Oracle America for maintenance and support services. The agency utilizes Oracle's PeopleSoft software for human resource and financial functions due to the escalations built into the contract when it was originally acquired, and agency's budgetary growth and enhanced use of modules triggering such clauses. Additional fees take effect which are not currently able to be covered under a previously authorized not to exceed amount in the 2019 contract. Therefore, the Technology Committee recommends amending the 2019 Oracle agreement for the services and increasing the total not to exceed amount to $4,582,839.35 and authorizing designated management to enter into any further amendments and ordering documents with Oracle to carry out the purpose of this resolution. With that, I asked for the board's approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
In addition, our Chief Information Officer, Jeffrey Devlin, provided a brief updates on the technology work plan for 2023 and the pilot activation of disruption management to provide more timely service updates for riders. With that, Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, one order of new business. As you all know, we're very fortunate. We have a very wonderful Chief Executive Officer for PRT. We were lucky to get her. She's been a leader in the industry, making us a leader in the industry nationwide. And as her performance has been stellar, and pursuant to her contract, we go through an annual review process to determine whether or not she has met the standards that we'd set for getting a bonus. And this year, she has in fact met all of the criteria that this board had adopted for her. And with that, I have a motion to, based upon Catherine's performance in calendar year 2022, seeking the performance bonus in the full amount eligible to which she's eligible under the agreement, and that is 20% of her 2022 base salary. So I'm seeking a motion to approve that bonus award for our CEO. I have a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Congratulations, Catherine. Thank you for her continued work. Okay, with that, we'll move into public comment, and the first speaker is Ralph Williams. I remind everybody about the time limits with respect to the presentations to the board today. Ralph?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for letting me speak. Those of you who don't know who I am the president of the Allegheny County Transit Council. I want to congratulate the award winners today. And I also want to congratulate the CEO, Catherine Kellerman, for getting her raise. She deserves it, especially when she first came into this. I want to say about Ms. Kellerman, when I first met her, I was, I said hello to her and everything else, gave her my name. About a week later, I was downtown at the Rite Aid around the corner on Smithfield, and I come out, she held the door open for me and remembered my name. Ever since then, I've been, I said, this woman is going to be a great CEO for PRT. The main reason I'm here today, and I know everybody here is really tired of hearing me repeat this, but there's a reason I'm repeating this, is because it needs to happen. When I see a bus go by and it says we are hiring, that's great. That's great that you're hiring for new operators. And I have to reiterate to you that and COVID's pretty much over. I know there's a little bit of small things that are going on. There's a few variants here and there, people getting shots and everything. And I know you agreed with a COVID agreement with the Local 85. But you got to continue to rapidly try to get some of these guys back that are still off from COVID and get them back out driving the buses. We need experienced operators. And I've said this many, many times. I'm going to continue to say this because it needs to be done, that these experienced drivers need to come out on the road. And nothing wrong with new drivers. I have no issues with that. But experience is key. And it's just like the Pittsburgh Steelers. When they have free agents, they bring in veterans. They have rookies. Okay, there's nothing wrong with rookies, but rookies do not have what the experienced drivers have. Okay, they bring a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to the job, and they need to be put back out on the road. And this needs to rapidly be done. And I realize they broke some rules. Again, I realize that, but we need to forgive and forget about this and let these guys come back to work. Thank you. Have a great day. Be safe.
Thank you, Ralph. Okay, with that, our next speaker is Ramala Davis. Going once. Going twice. Okay, our next regular meeting is Friday, March 24th, 2023, and with that, we stand adjourned. I'll see you all next month.